We are from Group 4, Section 4. We are going to present flash flood in Malaysia. So this is our group member, Lim Rou Yi, Cheng Min Jie, Wei Hao and Muhammad Zulkarnain bin Rohaizak. So what is flash flood? Flash flood it can be defined from various aspects such as hydrometeorological phenomena, natural disaster, and geomorphological factors. From a hydrometeorological perspective, flash flooding is best described as a phenomenon in which too much water flows over a short period of time. This means that the combination of very heavy rainfall and very efficient and rapid runoff in a relatively small catchment area is typical of flash floods. Flash flooding occurs immediately after a rainstorm is triggered. So it's often emphasized that heavy rain is a necessary but not sufficient condition for flash flooding to occur. Flash floods are a suitable subject for physiogeographical studies because the entire physical environment and influence their formation. For example, soil moisture status before a precipitation event is an important hydrological factor in flash flood occurrence. So what's the difference between flood and flash flood? Flood have a sudden onset and water flow over in a short period and influenced by various factors including prolonged heavy rainfall, snow melt, storm surge, and overflow of rivers. Floods can affect larger areas and the inundation may last for an extended period. And flash flood have a more gradual onset and can take hours to days to develop. Flash floods are characterized by their immediacy and factors such as soil moisture status, deforestation, and residential development. Flash floods are affecting smaller areas and they have a rapid onset with high water velocity. So to determining flood discharge involve the Q equals to AV formula where Q is the flow rate, A is the cross-sectional area, and V is the velocity. To prevent flooding, understanding flow conditions is essential with Froude and Reynolds numbers used to evaluate viscosity and inertial effect. The flow can be laminar or turbulent, depending on Reynolds number and gravity impact is assessed throughout the Froude number. Subcritical, critical, and supercritical states indicate the flow's response to gravity force. So the history of flash flood in Malaysia, there are the rapid urbanization of flood pronounced area in Malaysia is Kuala Lumpur, Penang, and Sarawak. In 2013, flash floods occurred in Cameron Highlands, Malaysia. Flash flood also occurred in 2016 in Kuala Lumpur, Selangor. Several methods has been used to map flash flood vulnerability such as AHP, decision trees, algorithms, and Shannon's entropy.
The aim and objective of this project is to identify and assess the area that vulnerable to the flash flood in the Malaysia. Second, to determining the factor lead to flash flood. And lastly, understanding the impact of flash flood to the environment. For the methodology, the strategy used to investigate in this case is called expressive inquiry. It involves asking questions about the job overview and various types of fact finding. These include searching articles and the data about flash flood in Malaysia.
Now I'm going to talk about the occurrence area of flash flood in Malaysia. First is in Pahang. The flood of 1971 was one of the greatest to ever hit the states along the east coast. The state of Pahang was particularly hard hit and suffering significant economic loss and 24 fatalities. About 43 years after the 1971 storm, the East Coast saw another major flood in 2014, which is in Cameron Highlands, Rompi, Pekan, Kuantan, Jerantum, and Rau. The second one is in the Muar River area. The floods were occurrence in December 2006 and January 2007 that caused the extensive flooding and severe damage throughout the river basin, devastate the Muar River basin. The northeast monsoon, which lasts from the November to December, that bring the most rainfall. The southwest monsoon quickly produced the moderated rainfall to the Muar region from May to July. The last one is Terengganu. The northeast monsoon wind brings the storm rains from October to March throughout the years, which nearly always result in flooding disease. The primary cause was the intense downpour that fell on December 17 to 24 in 2014, with 10 rainfall stations recording between the 580 and 1765 mm of rain. It caused the 25 persons lost their lives in tragedy, which also claimed the half of the billion lives and caused damage of 2.85 billion ringgit Malaysia. Next is factors that lead to flash flood. First is the poor managed and flood control laws are ineffective. When the economic and financial implication of the flood outweighs the consideration, the DID advice will become the secondary, and no wonder the flood control laws are poorly enforced. Second is replacement of natural volcanic forests with impermeable artificial surface. In man-made urban environments, almost all rain fall into the stream and rivers in a very short period. Then in the large cities, it is possible to calculate when the rain reaches the canals and rivers in a few minutes. A lot of water can enter the river in a short time and makes the flow of the river will increase and cause a flood. The last one is by human activity of development that do not consider the principle of environmental protection. This is because the open green space in urban area decrease, the level of infiltration in urban area will decrease also. Then the rate of the surface runoff and precipitation will be increased.
So now I'm going to talk about the impacts of flash flood. So how actually the flash flood affect us in the daily life. So in here we have separated it into two aspects, which is the social and economic aspect and also environmental aspect. So in social and economic aspect, flash floods had lead to the loss of opportunities, transport and also communication. While the data collection in Malaysia show that in years 2021, there are 37 reported deaths due to floods, and it also caused the damage of buildings, roads, infrastructure, and including water treatment plants. While in the data collection in 2000, years 2021-22, the flood has caused an estimated RM 6.1 billion in loss, with the heavy damage especially to the verticals, business premises, and also the agriculture sector. While in the environmental aspect, the flash flood has impact on the adjacent marine ecosystem, which is due to the rapid and thick sedimentation, which it is rich in pollutants such as heavy metals and aliphatic or aromatic hydrocarbons. While these pollutants may affect the marine food chain by the reduction of the photosynthesis level and the burial of the benthic of communities. Now move to the flash flood disaster management in Malaysia. So from our research, there are two methods have applied in Malaysia, which are the flood forecasting model and also smart tuners. So flood forecasting model are the prevention action to minimize the impacts of flash flood. The warning system alert the public and relevant authorities of impending flood. So there are two models popular used in Malaysia, which are artificial neural networks (ANN) and also hydrological engineering center river analysis system (HEC RAS). So ANN is the modeling of rainfall rainfall runoff process and flood forecasting using nonlinear time series model, which has applied for the rainfall prediction in Kelantan River in 2021. While the HEC is the modeling river flowing through the open natural channel and it used for the computing water surface profile, which it has applied in the Pahang River, Kelantan River, and Johor River in years 2012 to 2014. While the second method is smart tunnel, the word smart is represented as the stormwater management and road tunnel. It is designed for the drainage and water storage during the flood events. Well, it works on three-mode system, which the first one is in the normal condition, where there are the low rainfall and no storm. In the motorway section is open to the motorists. The second mode is the moderate storm. The flow water is diverted into the bypass tunnel in the lower channel by the motorway tunnel, while the upper channel will still open to the motorists. The third mode, when the major storm happen, the tunnel will cross to the motorists, and once the vertical have vacated the tunnel, automatically watertight gates are opened to allow the flow water to pass through. So the implement of the smart tunnel has covered the Sungai Klang area, starting from Kampong Berambang to Klang Gate.
In conclusion, flash floods have become a common occurrence in all parts of the world due to the above-mentioned causes and reasons, especially due to climate change and the extreme weather event and natural disaster caused due to it. Flash flooding has a huge negative impact on built and natural environment, as well as all living things. Preventive measures against flash flood should be adopted along with climate change adaptation methods and mitigation strategies to help prevent disastrous consequences.